significant increases. When your value goes up 3 or 4 times, that's crazy, and I respect that.
But they're inconsistent because
Some days are not on
I know.
on-
I never went down during the time everybody else was.
They're really all over the
doing
board.
it.
They're really all over the board.
And unfortunately, I haven't filed homestead exemption, so that's my only issue.
Yeah, I'll just repeat the same thing I said before. I did calculate to acknowledge Larry's statement, the millage rate down 14.44, and I think the difference was around $500,000. I think I rounded up $500,000. But that's based on the projected values for 2 years. So I have to acknowledge that too. That's accurate. Numbers don't lie, but neither does the fact that we are not guaranteed to collect this amount. And I said at the last meeting, I think the wisest step that would acknowledge that people's values have increased so much, while being aware that neither of the tax digest have been approved for this year or the prior year, would be to look at exemptions that would impact people who would need them the most. Keeping in mind that you have to actually file homestead exemptions to collect those. So if you don't currently have homestead exemption, it'll be 2019 before you see that. Me too, I'm guilty.
I haven't filed since I've been a resident here.
I tried to on April 1st and didn't have my paperwork.
And also to recapitulate what Councilman Alexander said, as my last meeting that I said, I think the better, more appropriate way to go about this would be doing the exemption as far as homestead if we were to do anything. I think that way that it would, I think it'd be a more feasible model, but keep in mind that once those homestead exemptions are increased, it's very difficult to take them back. So we need to really do our due diligence and make sure that we look into every possibility under the sun before we decide to do that. And as far as Mr. Martin, he stated that the businesses should get relief as well as the residents, the homeowners here. And I just have to acknowledge his comment.
I do think too, we can look at some of our neighbors who have higher exemptions than we do as a model for what we could potentially offer.
I think when we look at that, though, we have to compare city size and quantity and quality of services that we offer.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that we always have to keep in mind. We can't scale with a city the size of East Point because we don't have their tax base.
They don't offer the services we do
The
either.
programs have fallen way behind during this time.
And something else I want to point out too is that we've been operating as a city with concierge or high quality services. However, we have not rewarded our staff appropriately in order to carry out those type of services. We have emergency services, first responders here that have not had raises in years. So that's something else that we really have to look at as far as how can we continue to provide that quality level of service to our staff here with decreasing the attrition rate for them leaving our municipality, going to another municipality that can pretty much give them the benefits and the pay in which they desire.
And that's a real life challenge.
And that's something else that I think that each of the council members that sit before you have on their plate as well to see exactly how we best balance that option as well. I know that this year our valuations have gone up, but it doesn't mean that we can't look at a strategic plan to incrementally decrease millage rates or incrementally increase exemption rates as well with the years to come if it doesn't happen this year.
Any other comments from council? If not, I will close the public hearing on the millage rate, and I will open the public hearing on consideration action to amend the AD zone Arts District overlay. This says first reading, but I'd be calling for action, so I'm assuming this is our second reading. Tim, there was not substantial change to this. So this is first?
We haven't had this.
Okay, we talked about it.
No, what we did last meeting was approve makerspace.
Oh, okay.
It's to extend it.
Oh, okay.
As an exception to
Oh,
the.
okay. Oh, yeah, this was a different one. I'm mixing the two things together. So I stand corrected. This item, public hearing is consideration and action to amend the AD zone Arts Overlay District remove geographic limitations for makerspaces within the Arts District overlay. The City Planning Commission considered this item on September the 11th, 2018, and recommended Mayor and Council approve the text amendment that deletes number 5 of Section 93-2A-12 subsection 5. The Commission also recommended the additional language under Section 93-2A-9 subsection G that references makerspaces be removed. Staff supported their recommendation. So, with that being said, I will open the floor for comments, and I'll start on my right. Anybody has a comment either for or against this action? And my left? Okay. Staff? No comment? Okay. Council?
I have a question. Is the section 2, number 5 for consignment shops and thrift stores, with that, what's the purpose of that? Is that because the makerspace will sell things on a consignment basis, or is it just?
The additional language just had to do with the reference in the accessory uses. It was listed under accessory use, and it referenced the development standards that have the geographic limitation. So it doesn't address the consignment thrift shops at all.
Gotcha.
This is just about makerspace.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from council? So that'll stand as first reading, is that correct? It says action, but we're not taking action. So that, all right, so that will stand as first reading of the Arts District Overlay Amendment. And that concludes the public hearing on that item. I'll open the public hearing on consideration and action to consider a conditional use permit at 685 North Central Avenue. Dutton Wynn is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to operate a commercial dry cleaner at 685 North Central Avenue. Partial ID number is 14-0098-0017-0252. The property is zoned UV urban and is approximately 0.3029 acres. The City Planning Commission considered this issue on September 11, 2018, and recommended council approve the conditional use permit as requested. Staff supported their recommendation. So that being said, I'll open the floor for comments either for or against this request, and I will start on my left-hand side of the room. And my right. Okay, any staff comment? Okay, council?
I have one.
Okay.
I just am struggling with these conditional use permits because I feel like we have zoning for a reason. And I feel like it's something that can be researched prior to pursuing a certain business. I don't have anything against dry cleaners. I think they're great. But I also think it puts us in a position to be accused of being prejudicial if we have one business who we say yes to and another one we say no to for whatever reason.
Well, they are part of zoning because they are a conditional use within zoning. So they come before us for that request.
Yeah, I get it, but
Come back on an annual basis.
Lynn, can you?
No, they don't.
No, that's a
That's a temporary use.
temporary.
so that's another issue too. That's just my personal issue with it. I guess I would have to go to all planning commission meetings, which I don't, but,
That's a lot of what they do.
yeah.
Yep.
So that could also be me just being not educated about what goes into one being recommended.
Well, the only thing I'll say
one
about
not
zoning,
recommended.
the one thing I'll say about zoning is it's just like the arts overlay. You know, we did the arts overlay, and who would have thought at the time that we would have had a makerspace that far removed from where we did the arts overlay? So zoning is not concrete. It can change based upon the climate. Now, you know, a dry cleaner is a little bit different than a makerspace, but a similar situation that can occur with zoning where you think you've got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and then a use comes along. And again, this had been considered when the UV was established because it is allowed as a conditional use. So that's a little history from being around when this UV was created.
For me, that's what I struggle with too, as far as how do we promote equitability among the conditional use permits that are presented before us. Does it open us up for litigation? If someone feels as if they were unfairly treated, we've had a couple before now if I'm not mistaken, this year come before us and we denied them. So how do we practice equitability when we, among the requests for conditional use permits? That's my thing. Is it more prudent just to deny them all on a case-by-case basis, or does equitability supersede the conditional use permits?
Or I think what I hear there might be more of, is there the need to have conditional use in the code? Is that a larger part of the question? I mean, if,
I think that's an aspect of it, but it's not the absolute question that I'm saying.
I think conditional use within itself, and the fact it goes through a fair, equitable process, removes any hint of unfair treatment from that perspective, because that's why we have a planning commission, is to vet these things. And Dr. Patterson puts a lot of work into her recommendations, and planning commission puts Travis, you serve on the planning commission, so you know firsthand. They put a lot of work and a lot of thought into this. It's not just a random thing that they think of and approve or deny. There's a lot of these processes have been tried and proven, and that's part of why we have the public hearing, is to make sure everybody's got an equitable say in these things. Lynn? Good.
Just to let you know, in section 93.3-3.2-6, there are criteria. These are special uses that could have an adverse effect depending upon the actual applicant and the particular property. So we go through those and apply the proposed use against these specific impacts. For example, is there an impact on adjacent properties? In some areas it may be okay, in other areas that may be bordering, other areas may not. And so we look at it from a traffic perspective, from an environmental perspective, and that's really the purpose of the conditional use. I think to answer your question, Alexander, it's really is this compatible on this particular property versus a by right which says you can just do it. And so it's, and also thinking about, do you want 15 dry cleaners in a row? That's something that's at your discretion, that you have the right to say yes or no, but really it's those 6 standards that we have to use from the code to assess whether or not it's compatible.
from what I understand from reading the planner's report as well, and some of the supporting material that the business provided, it's not a traditional like coin laundry. It's more of a laundry for commercial businesses that have stuff that need to be washed, correct?
Strong comment.
Right. In this case, it's dry cleaning.
Any other questions or comments on this item? I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion on this item. Is anyone prepared to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second discussion.
Second, so only so we can move into discussion. I think we have a lot of, I just can't see approving this use. It doesn't seem to fit the fill of the downtown corridor, so.
And my other question is that it says there was a brief discussion regarding the property location being within an arts district, and the applicant expressed interest in supporting the arts initiative within the downtown Hayfield. How does that correlate? How would that look?
I don't know what that was intended. I don't know. Oh, putting a mural on his building.
I'm sorry.
Putting a mural on his building.
Okay.
I guess for me too, the other thing is it is pretty close to single-family homes. I don't know what kind of traffic a commercial dry cleaners would bring if they were using like large trucks to deliver things.
I think it was stating
Yeah,
7 a.m. to 6 p.m. I think it had a.
Business hours of 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
But that doesn't mean that drop-off and pickup is limited to those hours.
It's true.
If there's someone there working throughout the day, they could have an early pickup and drop offs. I'm just thinking if my house was that house next door, I don't know if I want a commercial dry cleaner next door to my house. Yeah. Yeah, but there's houses behind too. It was a thrift store before. So there's just a difference.
I'm sort of like still on the 50-50 on this, so.
Well, I think if you want to relook at zoning, we need to relook at zoning holistically. I think taking a process that's worked through our existing process and trying to unwind that process by sacrificing an applicant is dangerous. We talk about precedents a lot. I think it's a dangerous precedent. That's my own personal.
For me, I'm not necessarily sacrificing the applicant. What I'm looking at is the continuity or the consistency throughout the downtown area as well. If that area is we're saying that it's our arts district, how does this a dry cleanup fit into the scheme of our downtown area, which is considered part of the arts destination for the city? That's my question. It's not sacrificing the applicant whatsoever, not for me. It goes back to the type of business that we want in Hapeville, which I'm not opposed to a dry cleaner at all, but that particular area, how does it fit within the scheme of the tapestry of what we're trying to create in our downtown area? That's my question.
Any further discussion? All right, so we have a motion on the floor for approval. There's no further discussion. All in favor of the motion to approve, raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion fails 3-1. So conditional use permit for 685 North Central Avenue is denied. At this time, I will close the public hearing on that item and open the public hearing on a temporary use permit for 579 North Central Avenue. Charlotte Adams is requesting approval of a temporary use permit to operate a beauty salon at 579 North Avenue, parcel ID number 140094000010106. The property is zoned CR, commercial residential, and is approximately 0.775 acres. The City Planning Commission considered this issue on September the 11th, 2018, and recommended council approve the temporary use permit as requested. Staff supported their recommendation. So at this time, I will open the floor up for citizen comments on this item, either for or against, and I'll start on my right and my left. All right, there being no citizen comments, staff?
I'm gonna come off this one.
Okay, thank you.
More complicated, that's okay. Okay.
So we have this application for 579 North Avenue. It's a little bit complicated because it's in the CR zoning district, which is commercial residential, which does not mean you have to have a mix of commercial. It is just a zoning district that is kind of a transitional district between where you can allow some commercial or you can have residential, but it needs to be compatible with the surrounding area as well as within the zoning code. When we reviewed this application, we had some questions about the services, and that's all in the background, which are now, after going back and forth with the applicant, are hairstyling, hair coloring, manicures, pedicures, facials, waxing, and eyelash services. So it's a beauty salon. We also, there's a bit of a complication in our zoning code because some of these would qualify as a day spa, and day spas are only allowed in the RMU district or the UV district with a conditional use permit. So there's, again, we're going by code where it is. However, given that there are some additional services provided, this would qualify as a beauty salon. A beauty salon is not listed as, is listed as except a permitted use in C1. However, in order to get that C1 zoning permitted use, you all, mayor and council, have to approve a temporary use permit. It's good for 6 months. The applicant has to come back after 6 months, reapply. After basically 2 contiguous 6-month periods, they can actually come back as a conditional use to make that permanent, so long-term. So it's a three-step process. Again, these are listed as C1, what's allowable in C1 zoning district. So the applicant has come forth to ask for a temporary use permit to allow what would be normally in a C1 zoning district to be allowed in a CR zoning district, and it would come back to you after 6 months. We have no issues in terms of the use that's proposed, barbershops or beauty salons. The only thing that I would say that would sort of give me pause is because this could become a conditional use, meaning it could become long-standing permanent in this, at this property location, be very wary if massage were added. Again, because we're looking at one applicant, but I have to think about it in the long term. So is this, if you're okay with it, but it would actually qualify it as something different, as a day spa, which is different. So does that make sense? So I want to make sure what you're approving is very clear about the activities that will go on at the site.
I have an inquiry. So how many other temporary uses do we currently have, I guess, enabled at independent businesses across the city?
I have no idea. I just don't know off the top of my head. We could certainly research it.
Can we?
I don't know that we have any. I
Probably
don't
not.
think we have any currently.
Not
We have
any.
one, you know,
Because we would have already heard.
in the last 6 months. But,
Alright.
yeah, and I was, sorry, I was thinking ahead, have we done this process? And I don't know if we've done this 6 months, conditional use process.
All right.
Yeah.
Is the, Lynn, is the applicant the same applicant that originally brought the day spa proposal?
It's the same applicant, yes. It is the same applicant in conversation, recognizing that it was, in consultation with the attorney, that it actually constituted more of a beauty salon, the traditional, rather than a day spa. It's a little, our code's a little bit tricky, because our code says if you have 3 or more of these uses, it qualifies as a day spa. And again, those are allowed, they're just allowed in UP in our view. To be here, a beauty salon is allowed with a temporary use permit, conditional use, but it would have to remain as, primarily as a beauty salon. Does that make sense?
Other question, in 6 months, I guess my question is, does the planning commission involved in this again in 6 months, or does it just come straight to council?
Comes back to planning commission. I think that's also a way to kind of make sure things are working out in terms of that use in that area. This also, a number of years ago, was a beauty salon. And it was an abandoned use, so it's non-conforming, and then that's why it has to come through all this process.
My question was about the massages, and you did answer that. So those 3 individual rooms, is there a projected use for those rooms?
No, I had actually asked, and I regret I was not at planning commission, because the site plan shows that there are individual rooms. The application said there were no individual rooms, so I asked for clarification, but it cannot.
Okay.
I don't know. I believe that.
So the applicant is, okay.
So to see clarity again, it's temporary use, in 6 months again, temporary use again, and then 6 months again, conditional use.
Could have, could come for conditional use.
Or we could just continue to do temporary use.
After 2, then we'll have
All right.
You're limited. Or-
So other than the massages, the day spa services will be offered in addition to what will qualify as a beauty salon service?
The manicures and pedicures, this was a sort of consultation, sort of a layperson's definition. You could argue that you could have pedicures and manicures along with hairstyling and other things.
And how do we verify that there are not 3 separate rooms? There's no way. Oh, I'm sorry.
If I can talk, can I speak?
Yes, ma'am, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, if you don't mind, please, ma'am.
My home address or my business address?
Either one's
Okay,
fine.
I'm Charlotte Adams, and I live at 1600 Harvard College Park. The rooms, do you want to ask me the question first?
Oh yeah, I was just curious about the rooms.
Okay, most rooms, with any type of spa would be something similar to what you see on the back wall here. The rooms in the salon are partitioned. They have walls that separate rooms, and there are 3 of them. The the hallway, you go in, you come in through the door, and you can see the hallway. And when you walk through the building, you can see all of the rooms. They don't have doors on them. There's nothing that you can do that's private. I also stated in the meeting last week that I am not a massage therapist. I've also been running business for 5 years here in Georgia. I was in College Park, and the person lost the building. I had to find another location, and I don't do massage therapy. The reason that the name was called a spa was because the salon was included spa in the name, and I was a separate entity, so we just added it to the name. But through Cosmetology State Board, you have to have salon at the end of the name or shop at the end of the name. So I just decided to do spa salon within the name. Charlie O is my business name, and it is known throughout the world. And I clarified that with the question that was addressed last week, that I do not, will not, I am not a massage therapist, I am a master cosmetologist and a esthetician. I have a program with the State Board of Cosmetology that allows me to assist with students to add to their hours for cosmetology or esthetician, aesthetics. And you need aesthetics to do eyelashes, and you have to have a master cosmetology license or an aesthetics license to do eyelashes. I have done hair for many years. I did not practice hair for the last 2 years because I added eyelashes to the agenda, which has been a really big fad in, all over the world for eyelash extensions. So I became more involved, and I moved from Minnesota with a 20-year base salon, and to pick up clientele for hair, I just worked more in the other services. But I'm qualified, I'm licensed, I have all the documentation that's needed, I am registered, and I run a legitimate business. And I am not a day spa, I'm not a spa, and I needed clarification with direction because the language is a little bit different in another state than it is here, but I was never under the impression that I was ever running a spa that was including massage therapy. If that's
Thank you, Ms. Evans.
answers the question.
Any other, well, we're not in council comments yet. Any other staff reports?
No.
Council? Questions, comments? Are there being none, anyone prepared to make a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Second discussion. Being none, all in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, and the motion carries. We will take general comments at the end of the meeting, but if you have any comments tonight about anything we're going to be taking action on, please feel free to come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and make your comment or ask your questions. You wrote me.
May I come?
George Logan, 2108 Woodland Drive. Now that we have a new attorney, I'd like to ask, not make his comment. In the charter, it is clear that the mayor is not allowed to take part in discussions. That is a limitation. We haven't followed that in the past, but that's in the charter.
Charlotte Adams, 579 North Avenue.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I want to address the temporary permit. I don't know if, I know that everyone here gets some type of service grooming, and you have a barber, or you have a beautician, or you have someone that's manicuring and pedicuring. When you go somewhere, you're looking for longevity, you don't like for someone to move around. I am really looking for stability. I'm a great asset to the community. I will also join in volunteering and find something that I can do for the community as well with my services. And I would like for it to be considered to just do a conditional permit so that I can give my clients stability and security in knowing that they will not have to remove themselves from the location.
Your point's well taken. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Brendan Cornwell, 705 Campbell Circle. I have a question because when you guys earlier were talking about the budget, he said the June budget, and the one Mr. Martin is talking about is dated May 21st at 3.55 million. And I'm wondering what happened in 10 days that caused the budget to go up by 20%. Because the May 21st budget was 3.55 million. The June budget's 4.29 million. So in 10 days, we are spending 20% more on our annual budget.
I don't have all that information in front of me, so if you would get with Mr. Young before you leave tonight, give him your email address.
Okay.
We all exchange phone numbers, he can research that and answer that question.
Okay, and my other question was, if we're talking about millage rates, the previous person just was asking questions that had their agenda, and I'm not allowed to do the same.
No, that, it's really not an agenda item, but that's okay.
Well, my question has to do with millage rate versus homestead exemptions. And I know homestead exemptions equal people who live here, which equals voters. But you guys are really pushing hard to be a great place for businesses to come to Hapeville. And I've talked to a lot of people who have come from East Blank and College Park because Hapeville is a good place to do business. And I think it's a bit short-sighted to only look at homestead exemptions versus doing a millage rate reduction. I think it's unfair to the business owners of this community.
Thank you, sir.
Hey.
Oh, go ahead.
Does the increase in the budget take into account the water sewer transfer? Because that would equal 3.9.
That's absolutely correct. So, may I take a moment?
Yes, you may. One moment, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Our budget that we provided in June included a transfer of $340,000 from water sewer in order to meet general fund commitments. This is actually one of the first budgets we've had in several years that the general fund will actually be able to stand on its own as we project, and will actually allow water and sewer to retain its funds, retain more funding, so that we can do some of the infrastructure projects that are critically needed for the city. So we absolutely get that it's a change. We absolutely get that it is difficult to see yourself paying more money. There's an absolute need that the city actually the city's general fund be able to stand on its own so that this city can operate as it needs.
Thanks, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Fergus Roberts. I am at 3427 Main Street in College Park. This is Mr. Wynn. I wanted to give him an opportunity, if I may, to speak with the mayor and council. You have denied his application, but my concern is that an equitable decision